Hello, this is McD the Beast, and this is McD Sports 4 coming to you today with my North Carolina football predictions for the 2020 college football season. Before I continue, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Please subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate if you do that. I'm really trying to grow this channel. I do have a subscriber goal of 500 subscribers, which I'd love to hit by August 29th. So go ahead and hit that subscriber goal. If you're new to the channel, you will not regret it. North Carolina, listen, they had a surprisingly very good year last year, despite only going 7-6. They won every ball game last year. All 6 of their losses were one-possession games, and they are looking to take a big step forward this year. The North Carolina Tar Heels. So let's start off with things I like about this team. I like Mack Brown. I really like Mack Brown. I didn't really think much of the hire. I thought maybe 2-3 years down the road he'll have this team maybe around 8-9 wins. Because I do think you could consistently win 8-9 games at North Carolina. I really do. And he turned it around quickly. Those kids bought into what he was selling. And you could tell after game 1 against South Carolina last year, those players definitely bought into what Mack Brown was selling. And I think he's a big reason why North Carolina has a lot of hype this year. And Sam Howell, freshman quarterback, true freshman last year. He's a very good quarterback. Definitely made the right move there starting him. I do think he is overall a very good quarterback, Sam Howell. I think he's going to be a big reason for North Carolina's success this year. What I don't like about this team is the hype. I'm always a bit leery about a team that has a lot of hype surrounding them. I know a lot of people are really high on North Carolina. I'm going to admit I'm high on North Carolina this year. But I'm always a bit leery about that. So that if there's one thing I don't like about this team is the hype this year. I'm always just a bit leery about that. But I think there's a lot to like about North Carolina this year. 3 toughest games. Your 3 toughest games are Auburn, Central Florida, and Virginia Tech. You might be confused on why I put a group of 5 team on here. Central Florida, they have that game circled. Okay, it's at home for Central Florida. They have that game circled. Auburn, that's a neutral site game in Atlanta. I think that's going to be a pretty fun game either way in week 2. And then Virginia Tech, I think the Coastal Division is going to be coming down to in between North Carolina and Virginia Tech. I'll give Miami and Pitt puncher chances. I just don't think I think Virginia's losing too much offensively. And I'm not going to really talk about Georgia Tech and I forget who else. Is it Duke? Yeah, Duke. I don't think those teams are really going to compete for the Coastal. But those are your 3 toughest games. As I said, I think Virginia Tech and North Carolina. I think it comes down to those 2 teams on who wins the Coastal. 3 easiest games: UConn, Boston College, Georgia Tech. UConn is a FBS independent. Boston College, you get them on the road, but I'm not high on them at all. And then Georgia Tech, they're a long way away from competing. Your best case scenario, I think your best case scenario is 11-1. I do think you guys can go 11-1 with the schedules. I think the non-conference schedule is really tough this year with UCF and Auburn, and you also have JMU in that schedule as well. All they do is runner-ups to North Dakota State. But I do think you will lose a game somewhere this year. And then worst case scenario, 7-5. You guys lost a lot of close games last year. As I said, every game that you guys lost was a one-possession game. And a lot of your wins were also one-possession games outside of NC State and Mercer, and then Temple in the bowl game. So you guys could have easily lost some of those games as well. If it's a similar slate, I do think North Carolina is better because of the recruiting and Mack Brown and everything. But I can see 7-5. I can really see 7-5. But best case scenario, 11-1. Worst case scenario, 7-5. So let's jump into the schedule. Here's the schedule right here in front of you. We'll start off with that week 1 game on the road against UCF. It's a Friday night game. This is, I think, one of your 2 ranked matchups. I do think both of these. I think this is a top 25 matchup in week 1. I went back and forth for this one. I do think this is a 50-50 game. As I say, UCF does have this game circled, but I do think North Carolina is going to be a very good team this year. I went back and forth. I did give it to UCF since you guys are on the road. It's in Central Florida. I don't know Central Florida is one of those teams. I think they're a top 3 group of 5 team. They bring back a lot. Last year was kind of a down year for them, but overall, I think it's a really close game either way, but I'm going to give it to UCF because I think that you guys on the road and UCF will have this game circled. Next game, Auburn at the neutral site. By the way, we're doing Auburn predictions next week. I've so far decided 4 teams we're doing next week. I'm still trying to think of a 5th team during the weekdays, but I chose 4 of them. But Auburn in week 2. I think this is a 50-50 game. I think Auburn's a bit of a wild card this year. It's a neutral site game at Atlanta. I went back and forth with this one. I gave it to North Carolina. I do think North Carolina might come in as a bit of an underdog, especially 0-1. But I do think they're going to get the win here. I think they're going to bounce back. I think they're going to see they can't go 0-2 even though they're non-conference games. I think they get the win against Auburn. And by the way, out of the first 2 games at UCF and Auburn, I think they're losing one of those 2 games no matter what. I think the best case scenario, 11-1, is with a loss to either UCF or a loss to Auburn. So that's why I think that you guys will lose at least a game, because I think you're losing one of those first 2 games. But I think you get the win against Auburn for the purposes of this video at the neutral site. Next game, James Madison. James Madison, JMU, one of the best FCS schools. You guys will win this game. But don't think it's going to be a give me. This is their Super Bowl for them. I think this game's going to probably be a 2-possession game at the end when it's all said and done. But don't be surprised if this game is close at halftime, because it probably will be. Next game, Georgia Tech win. Listen, Georgia Tech, they're a long way from competing. I mean, it might be a bit competitive in the first half, because Georgia Tech, I thought they kind of turned a corner a little bit late in the season because they were somewhat competitive against some of those teams. I mean, they beat Miami, they beat NC State last year. But overall, I just do not see Georgia Tech really doing much this year. And also they have a really tough schedule as well, Georgia Tech. But I think you guys get an easy win here. I think you blow them out. Next game, at Virginia. Virginia is one of those schools. I think they lose a lot offensively, but if anything, I actually think they get a bit better defensively. The games in Virginia last year, they went down to Chapel Hill and beat y'all 38-31. I went back and forth for this one. I don't think Virginia will be competing for the ACC Coastal, but I think will pull off an upset somewhere. I think this is the game. I think you guys will lose on the road against Virginia. I just think Virginia, I mean, as I said, I think they're just going to pull off an upset somewhere, and I think this is the game that they do it in. I mean, defensively, they're going to be pretty good. I can see North Carolina's offense having fits throughout this game. And I think Virginia, I think the offense maybe makes a play or 2 and gets out of this one with the win, but I think this will be an upset. And also, they're going to be looking ahead to Virginia Tech, North Carolina, in my opinion, because to me, whoever wins this game is winning the Coastal. And I do think North Carolina wins this one. Last year, this game was an all-time classic and went to 6 overtimes. There's going to be revenge all over this game for North Carolina. It's in Chapel Hill. And I think North Carolina gets the win. I think it's a 1-possession game either way, but I think North Carolina does get the win there. And the reason why I think they get the win is because I think Virginia Tech's defense is going to take a step back without Bud Foster being there. Next game, at Duke. Duke is one of those teams that they were a bit disappointing last year. I do think they're going to be a bit better. I never count out David Cutcliffe. I actually think he's a pretty good head coach. I know the games in Duke last year, you guys kind of beat them on a last-second botch play by Duke in the red zone. I think the game's a bit of a bigger spread at the end, and you guys get the win. I can see this being a 10-14 point game, honestly. I just think you guys are that much better than Duke this year. I think it'll be a competitive game, but at the end, I am going to give it to North Carolina. Next game, at Miami. Back-to-back road games. That's always tough. I don't care who you are. That's always tough. Miami's a team last year you guys beat. They were very disappointing last year, the Miami Hurricanes. I went back and forth with this one. I think it's a 50-50 game. I gave it to Miami. Grant, I do think North Carolina, once again, is the better team, but at the same time, I don't think you guys will be much of a favor in this one. I think Miami's going to get the win. I think Miami's going to get a big win this year somewhere. I think this is going to be the game. I think it's a 1-possession game, but I think at the end, Miami's going to get the win. Then you get your bye week. Your bye week comes after on the road against Miami. And then you get the home stretch, honestly. and which is good. I think your bye week. I mean, you maybe want your bye week before at Miami, but I don't think your bye week's in a bad place. But coming off the bye week at home against UConn, win. You guys will beat UConn without a problem. They are one of the worst teams. My boy Randy Essau is a complete dumbass as a head coach, as far as I'm concerned. I think you guys beat the crap out of UConn. Next, Pitt. Pitt's one of those teams that I mean, you guys lost them last year in overtime. I do think you guys overall are a bit better than them, but I think this game's going to be a great game. Pitt's one of those teams. A lot of people are saying this Pitt team is one of the best Pitt teams Pat Narduzzi has had during his tenure as the head coach there. I do think this game's going to be a one-possession game either way, but I gave it to North Carolina because they're at home. But don't be surprised if this is the game that Pitt maybe sneaks up on North Carolina and beats them. I would not be surprised by that, but I'm going to give it to North Carolina. I think it's a touchdown game, but give me the Tar Heels. I just think they're a bit better, especially at home. Next game, at Boston College. I know it's on the road, but I think you guys blow them out. I am not high on Boston College at all. I think they're one of the worst teams in the ACC. And I think you guys go ahead and get a pretty easy win, despite the game being on the road there. And then your final game, your rivalry game, NC State at home. Last year, you guys blew them out. I am not high on Dave Doran at all. I think he's a terrible head coach, honestly. I think you guys are going to beat them up pretty good. I don't know if it's going to be that much of a blowout, because to me, a blowout is 24 points. But overall, I can see this game easily being a 3-touchdown game. And I think you guys beat them. I think the game could very well be the swan song for Dave Doran, because I am not high on him. I think he should be on the hot seat. And I think if he turns out to have another bad year like he did last year, he will get fired. So overall, those are my win-loss predictions for NC State and for North Carolina. These are my win-loss predictions. If you count up all the wins and losses, I have North Carolina going 9-3 with a 6-2 conference record. 9-3 with a 6-2 conference record. I do think that North Carolina. I just think I just see 9-3 all over them. I think maybe they win and lose games not the way I have them winning and losing those games, but I just see 9-3 all over them. And they do have that tiebreaker against Virginia Tech. If Virginia Tech goes 6-2 in the conference, they have the tiebreaker over them, but they don't have the tiebreaker over Miami. So we have to wait to see the Miami football predictions and the Virginia Tech football predictions. But overall, I do think North Carolina is a top 25 team. I think they finished the year 9-3 with a 6-2 conference record, a 3-game improvement at least in the regular season. Thanks for watching the video. Hit the thumbs up button. Please subscribe. This is McD the Beast signing off.